This is a Taut-Line hitch. This is my favorite knot and probably my most frequently used knot. In this video, I'm going to show you how to tie it, a couple common mistakes that people make when they're tying it and how you can avoid them. And then I'm also going to tell you a couple things that you can use this for while you're camping or out and about. Let's get started. I've untied my Taut-Line hitch here, and all I've done so far is I've wrapped my rope around my object that I'm creating the loop around. In this case, I just have a branch. You could also do this around a tree or a tent stake, etc. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the short end, also called the working end of my rope, and ultimately I'm going to be creating, in a particular order, 3 loops around the long end or the standing end of my rope. So how this works here to tie the Taut-Line hitch is we're going to first create the first loop around on the inside, just like this. So far so good. Then we're going to do that same thing a second time. So now we have 2 inside loops around the long end or standing end of our rope. And then the final step is to just do that one more time, and then we're going to make a third loop on the outside. So not on the inside, but on the outside this time. And then you just tighten it up, and that's going to give you a perfectly good Taut-Line hitch. All right, and from that point, this is the point of the experience, the point of the show, where you're able to tension and adjust your Taut-Line hitch so that you can adjust things like a tent. You can use this for tent guy lines, or you could also use this for something else that needs to be tensioned, like perhaps a clothesline would also be something you could do with this knot. All right, so I'm going to show you how to tie this knot a second time now. And as I go along this time, I'm going to show you 2 common mistakes that people make on the Taut-Line hitch so that you can avoid them when you go about tying it. I've got my line untied again, and I'm going to show you this knot a second time. And so we're going to, same thing, create our loop on the inside here. And at this point, we could actually run into a common mistake with the Taut-Line hitch, which is instead of making the second loop on the inside, or closer to our branch, is to make the second loop on the outside. And that's actually going to give us not a Taut-Line hitch, that's going to give us a 2/2 hitches knot. 2/2 hitches knot is a knot in its own right, and I don't want to bash the 2/2 hitches knot by calling it a mistake, but if you're trying to tie a Taut-Line hitch, then this is not what you want. So that would be a mistake in this case. And so another common mistake comes later in the process. So we'll go back to our Taut-Line, we make our first loop, then we make our second loop. And so here's the second place where people can run into trouble, is something that you may have noticed while we were tying the Taut-Line hitch the first time, is every time I make one of my 3 loops, I'm turning the rope the same direction. And that's important. And so if I've done my first 2 loops that way, but then when I'm making my final loop, if I actually go in the other direction, I will get a knot that looks like a Taut-Line hitch, but this is not a Taut-Line hitch. So this is actually incorrect, and it does not create tension as well as a Taut-Line hitch does, so it's not quite as effective if what you're going for is a Taut-Line hitch. All right, so you want to make sure when you're making all of your loops that you're wrapping it in the same direction. So let me go back to square one, and I'll show you this knot one final time the correct way. So this is the correct way of tying the Taut-Line hitch. So I have the short end of my rope, the working end, and then I have my standing end or long end of my rope. I'm going to create 1 loop on the inside. I'm going to create my second loop also on the inside. And then the final step, I'm going to create my third loop on the outside, all the while making my turns for my loops in the same direction. Then I'm tightening everything up. And at the end of this process, you're going to have a perfectly functional and workable Taut-Line hitch that you can use for various applications in the outdoors. If you found this helpful, I also have a video that walks through the 3 first knots that you should learn as a beginner to knot tying, and there's going to be a link to that video in the upper right hand corner of this video. If you don't see it there, it's also linked in the description of this video. I'd encourage you to go check this out, and if you found this helpful, I also encourage you to subscribe to our channel. We have new outdoor skills videos like this one published every week, so come join us and hang out on our channel. Have a good one. Bye.